Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time. And a passion project of mine is to try to help FHA, VA, and house hackers really understand that they can still buy and work in this market. Now, I have a particular focus on Fresno, California. I have an office there. I have resources there. I have a network there. So my ability to help people in Fresno is far superior than anywhere else. My long-term vision for this is we start helping people across the country because I hope this idea takes off and we help more and more people. The reason we are recording this today is we have Josh, who has raised his hands first, and we need to celebrate it. Josh has said, hey, I'm interested. I'm in Fresno. Can you help me? So we've already plugged him in with Patrick from the hub. We are now going to plug him in with Matt, the mortgage guy, to figure out kind of the guardrails of all of this. We're all going to get educated together. But let me be clear. I'm looking for 10 more Josh/Jills, if you will, in Fresno, because I want multiple stories. I want multiple people asking questions. I want to help multiple. I want all of these stories to go far and wide because I think we can inspire, we can educate, and we can help with real life stories. So Josh, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for taking this crazy idea, going, hey, I'm gonna give this guy a shot. So Josh, tell the audience about who you are, where you're at, what's going on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm Josh Coster. I grew up in the Central Valley. Visalia is an hour south of Fresno. So born and raised. After college, I moved up to Fresno. Just starting out in life, learning, getting finances in order, but also figuring out and learning along the way. And I learned about real estate probably in college, and I knew that I was always in my long-term plan. And I'm at that point where it's time to put my money where my mouth is and also get the work done.
There you go. Well, we will ask more questions about that in a minute, but we do have one other person on this call, Matt, the mortgage guy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm telling you, I'm excited about this in particular. I've got a bunch of investor buddies, and recently one of my buddies who's an investor, like you's got apartments and single families and 2 to 4s, got the whole mix. Somebody asked him recently, like, if he could go back, what would he do different? The thing he said was, my first property would be a 4-unit FHA, 3.5% down, because so many people wait so long because they think they need 6 figures, or they think that they've got to be farther along before they can do something. And literally, like, almost everybody you talk to says, I wish my first purchase would have been this. So it's going to be a fun conversation. I think for sure there's going to be a lot of people that listen to it and go, well, that sounds like a sexy idea.
Yeah, and like your friend, I'm on public record saying my biggest regret is I didn't house hack a fourplex. I didn't even start my real estate journey until I was 30. If I would have house hacked a fourplex at 20, I could have retired a decade earlier at least. So very, very cool. So Josh, we stole a little bit of your thunder. You are looking to house hack. When was the first time you heard about house hack?
I've always been in the bigger pockets forum, but it was actually when you did your deep dives. That's when I
Awesome.
really saw both sides of the coin, whether it was roommates or whether it's multifamily. I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. And the light bulb just clicked at that point. I was like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, so we did a deep dive on house hacking, 2 different flavors. We had Spencer Cornelia from YouTube fame and Todd Baldwin talk about roommates. And then we had Matt and Dion come on the very next week and talk about basically fourplexes. And just so you know, folks, we give all this away. It's on the channel in the playlist called Deep Dive. So go back and watch them. It's 2-3 hours of material. But it sounds like it's working. It sounds like Josh watched it and said, hey, give me some of that. So Josh, it sounds like you have a preference, roommates versus a fourplex. Is that true, or you're gonna double up and have a fourplex and roommates? What's going on?
Anything that works, right? You always say do the work and make sure the numbers work, right? So however we can swing it, whatever that looks like, I'm open to it. I'm a young guy and I have the ability to be flexible
Are you
right now.
single or
I'm dating
married
someone.
but not married with kids?
Not married with kids, no.
Okay. All right. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
You got to level set this. So again, single, looking at it going forward. That's awesome. So so we're gonna look at a house hack. Is it gonna be FHA? Is that kind of the first time home buyer purchase, Josh?
Yeah, that
Like
is the lowest down
3.5% down?
payment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
Okay.
that would be helpful. Again, if the numbers work, they work
Mhm.
any way
Okay.
possible.
All right. So I'm going to switch it over to Matt now, and maybe we'll go deeper on other areas. But Matt, I want to ask you about this self-sustainability.
Right.
This is a term that I see thrown around a bunch that honestly I don't understand. So I'm going to ask you, self-sustainability, what is it? How does it work? How does it play? Where is it good? Where is it bad? What is it?
So the FHA self-sustainability test rule is something that FHA has in place. And the funny part about it is a lot of people in a lot of states don't know about it because it never comes up. In California, I get it because properties are more expensive. And so it's great. It's one of those things where if you're an investor and a hard money lender tells you no, it's great. It's a red flag, like not a good deal. Don't buy that, right? The FHA self-sustainability rule is similar in that, like, if you moved out of this, because it's got to be owner occupied, you got to live in one of these units. If you buy a 3 to 4 unit with the FHA loan, which you can do with 3.5% down, you have to live in one of the units. That's the caveat with FHA, but it's a great way to, buy something you're going to live in and get rental income. You have to take the market rents of all the units. I know you're going to live in one, but if it's a 3 unit, you still take all 3. If it's a 4 unit, you still take all 4.
Okay.
Market rents. And the market rents, when you get the appraisal, when you buy the house, it's just a form, a 1007 that appraiser completes that says comparables, 2 ones in this neighborhood, they rent for $1,300. You take that and you multiply it by 75%. They take that as the occupancy factor. Hopefully you got a lot better occupancy factor than 75%, but they're going to be conservative. And that number has to be greater than your total mortgage payment, principal, interest, taxes, insurance.
Okay.
And so
just wanted to say that again, 75% of market rents has to be higher than PITI.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know for me and for a lot of people, like you gotta have numbers to really nail it home. If you've got 1,300 per unit and you've got a fourplex, so it's 5,200 in total rents.
Right.
Use my calculator just so I don't have to think too hard. 3,900 is that number after you multiply it by 75%. Your payment can't be higher than 3,900. And like I said, it's a great thing to measure against to say, you know what, probably not a good deal. If you can't meet that, regardless of what you think personally, FHA is not going to write the loan. So you've got to be under 3,900 a month, which, when you talk specifics, and everyone's scenario is going to be different, you're going to, this interest rate, you buy it down here. If you're close, then it's like, where can we get homeowners insurance that's $14 less per month? What can we do to buy down the rate to make that work? But whatever the case, like, that's the rule.
Okay. So this is, again, probably something that doesn't play in Mountain View, California, but I think it'll be interesting to watch what happens in Fresno, California. Do you have a spreadsheet? I think you said you might have created one since you wanted to share.
Yeah, I've got an Excel that I can share, and then you can see as we plug in numbers what that means. You guys see this screen?
We can.
Should I zoom it?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Josh, you can see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I plugged in 600,000, 550,000. This is easy enough to where I can change these numbers, and it's going to auto populate a payment with.
So let's play with this a little bit. So Josh has just started looking. So I'm going to answer some of these questions. And is the sustainability rule on here somewhere that we could check it?
I didn't necessarily put a calculator on here. I wrote the language over here on the right where it says, market rents times 75%.
Okay. So we can build it on the side there if we want.
Right. Yeah, we'll build it out over here.
So I want to test this out. So let's take that 600K fourplex. Again, this is a fictitious fourplex at the moment. So what I see you there is 3.5% down. So Josh, in this case, would need to bring 21 grand deposit plus closing costs and whatever. Let's call it $26,000.
Yep.
Okay.
Look, if I scroll all the way down, you're probably pretty close. 28.
Oh, look at 20. Okay. 28.
Yeah. Assuming, some things that are probably high estimates. So you're probably spot on.
So in this case, so PITI is right there at 4462. Is that right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. And
Oh,
this,
you know what? You know what we could do is we could go right below that and take 4462, and what would that be, divided by 75 to get the bigger number?
yeah, I think you're right. 4462 divided by 0.75 is going to give us, 5950 for,
So- So basically what I hear you, so 4462 equals 5,900. So the fourplex would have to be gross rents of $8,000.
no,
for all-
6 grand, 6 grand.
No, it would have to gross 8, 75% of 8 is 6. Do I not understand that correctly? Or did I already do the math?
You already, well, yeah, you did it twice. So that 59 number is what we need the gross to be. So we need the gross to be,
okay.
yeah, 1,500 a unit. So we
I
get
doubled up.
6,000 in total rents. Yeah, you try to double hit us, man. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah. So if at 600 grand, you've got a unit that rents $1,500 a door,
Right.
it's
So
a winner.
basically that's basically that we just uncovered the 1% rule just in this fictitious example.
yeah, right,
So,
right.
so if gross rents were anything less than 600 or $6,000, this gets a no from FHA.
Right. And going through dozens of these scenarios, I can tell you, you start to mess with numbers, right? And then you say, well, what if I bought it for 585 and then the payment goes down to 4,350? Well, what if I put 10% down and now I'm 90% LTV? Now I'm down to 4098.
Right.
You start to play different scenarios. I've already got a rate in here that, for transparency purposes, this is a rate that cost 2.5 or 2.75 points, which I also, knowing that we're in a market where we can negotiate, have a 3% seller credit in here. So a bunch of assumptions, but you start to mess with it. And I don't know your specific scenario, Josh, on what the total capital available is, but if there's the ability to put down more, even though there is the ability to do 3.5% down, 5 or 10 can start changing the numbers. And
I'll let you guys deal with specifics off camera. This is about blocking and tackling. I think those are all great questions, but I don't want to get into Josh's business on a public line, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Josh, I know I've been dominating the conversation because I'm trying to get comfortable with these numbers. What we've gone over so far, self-sustainability, does this kind of make sense to you? What's going on?
Yeah, it makes total sense for me. I think other YouTube channels also cover this 75% rule. So it's been
Very
part
cool.
of my calculations too.
Awesome. Okay, very cool. All right. And then this is all FHA, Matt. This is not just low down 3.5%, 5%, 10%. This rule applies. Basically, FHA will not buy it unless this passes a 75% rule. Is that correct?
Right. Just on the 3 and 4 unit, though. You could buy a single family or a duplex, and that's not gonna be an issue.
So this is FHA. What is conventional? Like, are there 5% down conventional first-time homebuyer programs that don't have this sustainability rule?
Not on multifamily. If you do like a 3 or 4 unit, and you occupy it, you got to put 20% down. So it's going to be
okay.
Yeah. That's why, for the most part, like the low down payment, like everybody is kind of funneled to FHA because they're the ones where you can, with minimal capital, get in there and buy yourself a 3 or 4 unit.
Okay. All right. Josh, do you have any questions or thoughts on this? Again, I don't want to dominate the conversation.
Yeah, for other people trying to come in at low prices or low down payments, what do you think about down payment assistance, Matt?
That's a great question. And it's a really common one right now. In the end of 2022, more programs are coming out, more lenders are coming out with them. The thing that I would be careful and cognizant of, and this is conversations we have with clients every single day, is you're going to qualify for less because the debt to income ratio requirements are going to be more strict, and it's going to be a higher interest rate. Almost any program you look at with down payment assistance, they're factoring in that risk and they're charging you more fees and a higher rate, usually both. And so, we've got one right now that's an FHA program where you can get a 3.5% grant. You don't have to pay it back, which is great. And it's a nationwide program. Your debt to income, it's got to be 48% on the back end, where traditional FHA is 58. So it's going to, hurt your purchasing power. It costs you a couple points for a 6.75 with that grant. And so, if you match that up side by side of what you would get paying 2 points on traditional FHA, it's probably a full point higher in interest rate. And so, there are pros and cons of it. I think that in general, people put in a down payment, you just get much better terms, much better idea. Like I don't want people, especially if you're, got an investor mindset, to be in a hurry and just say, I'm going to buy something for the sake of buying something. Get the financial stuff in order and put a down payment together. That's for the last 8 years, I've always preached that. I'd rather help you, get into a good looking loan 18 months from now than help you buy something right now. And coming from somebody who gets paid when loans close, you can believe me when I tell you that I'm being genuine with that advice, because it goes against what I get paid on. So I've never really been a big fan. It works for some people, and I think that there's some folks that have really stable finances, really stable jobs. For them to save up 15, 20, 25,000 for even the small down payment loans, it's just not in the cards for them. And so maybe then, okay, we'll look into down payment assistance programs. But usually not being able to save a down payment is kind of a function of not being really financially stable. And so getting that in order to save the down payment might be some of the habits people want to create before they go out and buy a home.
One of the things that I took away from that is, again, I generally think more first-time home buyer programs are coming. I think they've just started, but I think it's fair to say that there will be profit in those made somewhere. And to your point, I think most often that is in higher rates. And as you will see, the rates really can make a difference, and there'll probably be prepayment penalties and other gotchas.
Yeah, and I think too, like for people that are, they see something, a lot of times it's the marketing department is what puts out the flyer, right?
Yeah.
It's not the helping homeowners and warm and fuzzy that's making the flyers. It's like, how do we get people to call us about this program? The ones that truly are, going to be, free money and handouts and not a for-profit business are going to be a really small bucket. The people that are low to moderate income, they live in certain census tracts and things like that. Then sometimes there truly is free money. But other than that, I think that the advice to most people is going to be, hey, like nothing's free. Lenders operate for-profit businesses. And so, yeah, they're going to get you in fees and rate and whatnot. Not saying that it's something that nobody should look into or nobody would qualify for, but for the vast majority, I think there's better options.
Other questions, Joss?
For our maybe our people that bring in less income and stuff, where would they look for that free money, that grant? Is it local jurisdictions? Is it local websites?
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of the grant programs are state specific. As a broker, I've got a company that's doing a nationwide program. And I actually think it's good. I think it's good because it's forgivable right away. You don't have to live there for 5 years. There's no prepayment. So you could refinance it after 6 months and you still get that grant. You don't have to sit in that 6.75% FHA. But there's a lot of state specific programs where Cal HFA in California's got some. Other states where we operate in, I know they've got state specific ones. I would probably connect with a mortgage person you like and trust, and pointing away from me, because I'm not really like a down payment assistance specialist type of guy. There's going to be some lenders that focus on it. Like Cal HFA in California has a list of their approved lenders that write down payment assistance all day, every day. And I'm the first to tell people, if it's not my specialty, then even though it's, residential lending, you probably want to talk to somebody else.
So let me just get me that. So Cal FHA probably .gov, I would guess.
Yeah, it's calhfa.ca.gov.
Cal HFA.
Right, Housing Finance Agency.
Got it. .ca.gov. I'll put
Yeah,
that in the notes.
yeah,
And again, for folks watching this across the country, that would have been my answer as well. Very state specific. I've seen a couple of national things, like there was this $8,000 credit on your taxes years ago. That may come back. Who knows? It wouldn't shock me if it came back, but that'll be at the national level. Generally speaking, they're handled at the state, very rarely municipality, but I would definitely look at the state level. So good news, Josh. If that's of interest, we have calhfa.ca.gov that we can poke around. And maybe if somebody's watching and you're a part of that program, reach out to me. I would love to interview you, help more and more folks. So that's very, very cool.
Yeah, and I was going to ask too, just because, you guys both know Fresno better than I do. And I know, Josh, that it's like, oh, I might buy a single family and rent out 3 rooms. I might buy a fourplex. What are some numbers, just to kind of chat numbers? Because I love me some numbers. What would a 4-bedroom house cost? And then what could you get each roommate to pay if you say rented out 3 rooms on a 4-bedroom house?
Josh, have you looked around enough to give a guess on that?
I've done my buy box in 93726, yeah, which is right south of Fresno.
I know 26. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
26.
so, and I kind of played with it, renting to college students, or because that's, I guess, the most stable one. And I've seen rooms, studios, 1-1s are going for 1,000, and then 2-1s go for about 700 to 800 in the surrounding student living.
So Josh, when
room.
you were looking, do you know what's kind of the price point of a house? Let's do a house for, have you looked at a house in 93726?
Houses, it depends how south you go, towards Ashland. A 5.3 that comes to mind was 420.
All right, so let's put
I
that down.
believe.
Let's say 420 grand. So this is a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. This is very much Spencer and Todd's kind of, if you're going to look for a deep dive, this is the roommate edition. So you got that, Matt? 420?
420. Yeah, I'll put this screen back up. We can all look at it.
All right. And then Josh, are you going to live in the master suite?
That depends on that.
Okay.
I know you could get more rent for the master suite, of
Yeah,
course.
so
Let's say no.
Okay. So a 5.3, you're going to have at least one master suite. So let's assume that's going to be kind of 750. You'll have 3 other bedrooms. Let's call that 500. So we're 2250, and Josh lives in one of the kids' bedrooms.
Okay. And really, like, it's going to be that inexpensive for somebody to rent a room, 500 and 750?
I don't know. I'm just playing with it. I have never done. Again, I'm out of my depths. This is why I need the questions. This is why we're gonna dig. I'm figuring out what I don't know as I help Josh and then help others.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is cool conversation. It makes you want to turn back the clock and then go back and do it, right? You know what? You guys want to hear a funny story? Is I didn't even know I was house hacking. My wife and I, before we were married, October of 2006, bought a house in Sacramento, and for anybody who's upset about current rates, my first was 6.75, my second was 12%. Both were adjustable. So total payment was $2,700 for a $345,000 purchase. And she had a friend and I had a friend, and 450 and 450. They each lived in one of the bedrooms in this 3-bedroom house. And so we house hacked and not even knowing what it was. And one more side note, and then we'll kind of look at this scenario. I've got somebody who's coming out from Philly, looking for some short-term stuff. And there's people on Airbnb that do this house hack.
Sure.
And I actually talked to one of them. I think he's going to pay $1,200 for the month for the room. And I asked her to, like, who else is living in the house. Got 2 other college students from Sac State who are living in that house. And so, for 3 bedrooms at $1,200 a pop, this is a house that probably could be bought for $450, $475. So doing rather well there. So,
yeah. So one of the things, Josh, that we need to take a note of, and probably work with Patrick, is we need to do a little bit more research on rental rates for rooms, right? Whether, we need to look that up. I'm just going to guess some numbers so we can really look at some things. But that's something we can double click on, obviously, as we go forward. So let's see.
On this too, just for an idea, 420 purchase price. We bought the rate down to 5,375, and the goal would be to get the seller to pay that buy down. Taxes, insurance, everything all in 3,123. If it is a single family, offline, me and Josh can talk about 3 or 5% down conventional, because depending on credit score, that might look
better,
even better. But you can count on 3,000-ish monthly payment.
So in this example, what did I say? 750 plus 1,500, so that's 2,250. So basically, Josh is living in a house for $900 a month, basically.
Right.
Okay.
And the debt pay down and the tax benefit and.
Yep. So let's play the game, right? We're in a really tight market. I think there's a bunch of 420 houses that won't sell. Let's say that Josh found a motivated seller, and let's say he got it for $399. Let's just play. How much better does it get?
$2,967.
Couple $100. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's try. So that was a house 5.3. That's kind of that is exactly what Spencer and Todd would do. Let's do the other side, the fourplex.
Okay.
So let's talk about that Clovis fourplex. I think Patrick talked to me about the other day. I think it's 600 grand. Let's say we get it for 575. Sorry. Because I think again, as Josh knows, we don't pay list price, right, Josh?
Never.
We don't pay list price. We will just write another offer. All right. So say
what if list price is really aggressive, guys?
We have a world. Well, again, that might change next year, but today we live in a world of wish pricing.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some smart sellers that everyone's listed at 575 to 600, and they go, "I want to sell in the next 2 weeks," and they go right to 499. Now that's a smart seller, right? Where 499 is probably a smoking deal, but yeah, I think I was just a
seller who has margin and is motivated.
Right?
That's not everybody. All right, so we'll say 575 again. We come here now. We do have the 75% rule because again, the FHA can say no. So we have to divide 4276 by 0.75 for the sustainability.
Yeah. And then what does that get to? Like 5,800-ish?
Probably. Okay.
57.
So that's all 4 units. So Josh, do you remember what that Clovis configuration was? Because I don't. Was it 2 2s and 2 1s?
I can't recall right now.
Let's just play with it. Let's say it's 2 2s in Clovis. Let's say Josh, or actually we're gonna do all of them. So 2 2s in Clovis, 2 1s, excuse me, 2 1s, 2 bedroom, 1 bath. Probably gonna be, gosh, 1,400 maybe, depending.
1375 is the magic number to get it to qualify with the self-sustainability rules.
And again, that is market rents as done by the appraiser on this 1007 thing. Not actual rents, not like signed leases. It's an appraiser saying what market rents are.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So in that case, like that passes self-sustainability. And then, if your payment on that 575 all in is 4278 and you're getting $1,400 a door, quick math is that the gross is going to be 4,200.
On the 3, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that it's smart to let everybody know that it's not that rosy, right? There's going to be some costs. There's going to be vacancy and that other stuff. Do you have a calculator, Mike, that folks use for vacancy and CapEx and things like that?
It's going to be a little different. Well, yeah, I think CapEx and OpEx is going to always be 10%. You're not going to have property management. Very likely, Josh, I'm guessing you're self-managing.
Yes,
I
that
don't
would
want to
be
speak for you.
that's what I would do.
Yeah. So you would definitely have a reserve, probably 10% to be safe. Yeah, you just want to make sure and probably have a reserve for capital as well. Who knows what condition? A lot of that will be based on the condition you get it in, right? Is it a fixer as is? Is it turnkey? There's some things that you can get based on it. But again, I think this is really about understanding the guardrails for me, especially once you get past a duplex with the sustainability test. Because again, you could negotiate to that. Because again, if you do this right in a fourplex, you can actually go to the seller and say, I can't pay 575 because FHA won't buy the loan. You have to sell it to me for, I'm just going to make up numbers, 540. That's an easy convert. And then the seller makes a choice. Do I want to take Josh as a known, or do I keep it on the market? I think we're going to go into a winter where this FHA sustainability is a good thing. I want to be very clear. A year ago, this sustainability test would blow out all the FHA buyers, just blow them out of the water. Now, if you're a fourplex seller and nobody else is buying but FHA, you come in with Josh, with a professional like you, Matt, and you go, bingo, bango, I can't pay more than 540. It's kind of an easy discussion.
Yeah. And what happens is, if cash buyers are on the sidelines, if 30-40%, conventional buyers and 1031 folks are not buying, and to your point, only FHA buyers are looking at this property, you tell the listing agent that, and you say, hey, listen, I can't pay it, but either can anybody else. So they might not even know it yet. They might be willing to write at 580, but can't get the loan done because of the self-sustainability rule. Whenever there was an appraisal that came in short on an FHA loan and that appraisal sticks with the property, that was negotiating power. We said, listen, you're not going to be able to get anybody else in here, FHA. They're going to have to use this appraisal for the next 180 days. So let's just get this deal done. Right. And so it's going to help negotiations when you're already in a market where you've got some leverage. So I like it.
Okay. Other questions, Josh?
No, everything's been answered and very thoroughly done.
Yeah, I think
ahead,
I was just going to say quickly, I think the next step, is we'd be happy to get you pre-approved, Josh. And there's even some things that we didn't go over today, comparing 3% down conventional. If you did a single family house hack, you could do 3% down conventional. We can look at the down payment assistance, giving you kind of all of the options to look at and kind of figure out for yourself, because, in the lending world, we're just presenting options. We're not telling everybody that this is the best product. This is the only widget that people should buy, right? We got a lot of different products because there's a lot of different, scenarios out there and different folks with different goals. So we'll dig into goals and your specifics and figure out what works best for you.
Yeah. So Josh, from where I'm sitting, and again, this is for you, but again, I'm trying to help thousands of people watching this. From what I just went through, these are the things that I think are action items for you. And when I say you, I mean you and Patrick. First, I think you need to poke around fourplexes in Fresno and see if we're close to the sustainability rule, because most of California, it doesn't play. I think Fresno is going to be really close. And by really close, that means you have negotiating power, at least for the next 6 months. But I think we need to verify that. That's one. Number two, I think we should poke at room rates a little bit more. Roommates, right? I guess some numbers. I feel I'm close, but I've never done it. I could be way off. I think that's the second thing to kind of poke at. I do think you and Matt need to get together and figure out the guardrails and all of that, but I will leave you two to do that on your own. I think other people watching this, if you're looking at this going, I want, but I don't have down payment, maybe down payment assistant makes sense again in California, calhfa.ca.gov. Again, realize very few things are free. Higher rates, higher fees, don't get to, it's not free money, at least in most of the cases. But again, I believe house hacking, not only is this opened up as one of the few things I regret in my life. I think it's the cheat code to wealth. I think Dion has shown us from Dion Talk that house hacking is what allowed him to get through financial freedom in 8 years. Anna Kelly, one of the best investors that comes on my channel, will tell you selling her big house in Texas and buying a fourplex in Pennsylvania was the best financial move she ever did. So these are people I know and trust and respect. And house hacking is the cheat code to wealth. If roommates aren't your thing, get units. It's just the thing. So Josh, any kind of closing thoughts or any other questions before we wrap this up?
No, I think we covered a lot of stuff, but I think it goes back to, especially in this upcoming market, it's deal architecture and it's creative financing, and we need to see how the numbers can work and what we can do.
Yeah. I think for you and Patrick's, it's really identifying. For me, I think usually I talk buy box. Thank you for using that vocabulary earlier. One of the things you may also want to add, because again, it seems like you're going to be number driven, which dude, I love. You may have a couple of, hey, I don't want to buy here's, don't want to buy here's, right, in the area. So those will probably play. But yeah, I think we take this to Patrick. You did some homework on rents to make sure we're close. Matt, you did this for Josh, which I greatly appreciate it, but we're going to share this because I believe house hacking, low down payment is the cheat code to wealth across the country. If you are in Fresno and you want to be the next Josh or Jill, ask questions, do all of this, please reach out to me. I want to do this another dozen times. I'm not a part of any commission structure. None of this stuff I'm not getting paid on any of this stuff. This is really to help and push people. I guess I'm getting paid a click. Let me be clear. I do get a penny. I get a penny if you watch the video.
I mean, the real payment, Mike, is like seeing someone's eyes light up and seeing the magic in these things. While it's cool to look at it and say, hey, you're going to buy a fourplex, and in a housing market and in an economy where rents are high, mortgages is high, affordability is an issue, you're going to live for $600 or $700 a month or whatever the number is. That's cool, Mike. But you know what's even cooler? Looking back 3, 5, 10 years and saying, oh, by the way, when I owed $422, I refinanced conventional down to 5%, no more mortgage insurance. So now my mortgage payment is $36. And oh, by the way, after a decade, they're now $1,850 per unit. And then you start seeing these. I've got these little fourplexes that I own that I paid $270 and $330 for. At the time, they weren't home runs. Over time, I look back and I go, holy crap, I can go on vacation every single month from those 2 little fourplexes that I bought in 2019. That's pretty cool. That's only been 3 years, right? Yeah. Imagine, and that's the thing too that people should understand. I think Josh has got the right mindset. He's thinking about wealth building over time. A decade or 2 later, you are going to look back and say, thank you, 2022, Josh. Thank you for doing the work. Thanks for buying this, whether it's December of 22 or it's February of 23, whenever the time is, your future self is going to thank you. And whether it's appreciation, whether it's cash flow, maybe both, it's going to be something that you look back on and go, man, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Folks, I hope this helped you. I hope you got some questions answered. House hacking is the cheat code to wealth. If you could do it either with roommates like Spencer and Todd or with units like Dion and Matt. Folks, I look forward to seeing where this goes. Josh, I think we will get back together again in 45, 60 days when we got some of these questions answered. We'll see what's what. Thank you so much for being willing to do this. It means a lot.
Well, it means a lot that you guys are willing to help. I appreciate it.
This is fun. Love it.
Thanks, guys.